This is a community mourning 3 of its little girls. Its grief pierced by violence, by noise. Today, like hundreds across the country, Southport Mosque's security was heightened. Instead of the crowds that hurled bricks at its windows and set fire to its charity clothing bank, just police, journalists and a resident handing out flowers.
The scariest time was when the fire started.
Iqbal and Emdad were inside the mosque on Tuesday night.
We got escorted by about 10 officers. We got taken to the right van, which is about 20 yards away from the mosque. Entering into the right van, there was like injured police officers. One couldn't walk. A female woman is struggling with her lower back, and it was just honestly like a movie. It was like a horror movie.
They are beautiful community.
As far-right groups plan up to 35 protests across the country, here only words of reassurance.
One of the nicest things that happened is this little boy, 9 or 10, is coming with a dustpan and brush. I still got it because he left it behind. It's very difficult to get to Southport, so we always felt safe-ish, but obviously when that happened, it is frightening, and it's just crazy to see all these people behaving in the way they're behaving.
What happened in Southport on Tuesday, then in Hartlepool, Manchester, Aldershot and London took the government and police by surprise. Yesterday, the Prime Minister announced a new police task force, a national violent disorder unit which will share intelligence across forces. But it's online misinformation and the speed with which it travels that poses the greater challenge. Before the suspect, local 17-year-old Axel Rudakabana was named, false claims that the suspect was a Muslim, an immigrant and false names too were seen millions of times.
What we know is that this content spread far and wide very quickly, most likely amplified by bot networks. And that's what makes this so difficult to analyse, because it could well be the fact that a number of key individuals in the far-right community shared the initial content. It's impossible to know how that then became so popular so quickly.
This is a world driven by amplification, by engagement. X's CEO Elon Musk even replying to a tweet by Tommy Robinson, the far-right EDL founder, last night.
So the Prime Minister tonight reacting to what has happened over the course of the last 48 hours.
But the Reform leader, also on X, criticised Keir Starmer for, he said, blaming the far right.
No, the far right are a reaction to fear, to discomfort, to unease that is out there shared by tens of millions of people. Let me be clear. I don't support street violence. What you've seen on the streets of Hartlepool, of London, of Southport is nothing to what could happen over the course of the next few weeks.
Steve Rotherham, mayor of the Liverpool City region, today said Farage was excusing rioters and giving them legitimacy. Police forces across the country are poised for more violence as the 17-year-old accused of killing BB, Alice and Elsie awaits trial. This, a community reeling from an act of unspeakable violence, as well as picking up the pieces of a riot fuelled by misinformation and set alight by social media.
Hate can never survive, really. Love will always prevail in the end. I hope that's not a cliche, but it's truly, we believe that love always prevails in the end.
Well, just over an hour before we went to air, faith leaders from across the country came to the mosque and then they walked together to the memorial to pay their respects to BB, Alice and Elsie. And as you said, Krish, earlier in the day, Keir Starmer paid a secret visit here. He met with Steve Rotherham, the Metro Mayor, with Serena Kennedy, Merseyside's Chief Constable, along with faith leaders, with local healthcare providers, with schools, to discuss a support package that would include mental health support, but also think about events to commemorate the victims. And then, as you said, he visited Alder Hospital to meet staff who had treated the children attacked on Monday. He said that he couldn't imagine the pain that this community was going through, but that he'd been inspired by how they had come together.
Amelia Jen. Well, Paula Barker, who's the Labour MP for Liverpool Wavertree, joins me now. And there are mosques and people in your constituency, in your city, more widely, who are wondering tonight whether they're going to come under attack this weekend. What can you
Yes,
say
it's
to them? I
very
mean, you
sad,
can't really
Krishna.
guarantee their safety, can you?
Well, the police have been absolutely remarkable. And what has been very, very clear is that they have additional resources to be able to deal with any eventuality, and the full force of the law will be used to anybody who is trying to sow division on our streets.
I mean, right now, you know, as we speak even, there are people who are sort of taking part in these actions around the country and shouting that you don't get it and we don't get it, and it's the elite and the media and the politicians, and, you know, they don't understand how real people feel. You know, are you sure this sort of hardline, we'll arrest you, we'll take you down approach is the right way to stop this?
I think we have to have a zero tolerance approach. And Keir has been very, very clear that we will always uphold law and order, and the safety of our communities is paramount. And I think what is really, really important is if you look at the response from the people in Southport this week, and also when you listen to one of the families of one of the innocent little children who lost their lives, they don't want this mindless violence on our streets. This is not a response to what has happened. If it was, these individuals would let our police force get on with the task at hand and focus on the grieving community. The main thing is that the perpetrator is held to account and brought to justice. That doesn't happen by spreading misinformation on social media and perpetuating violence on our streets.
Right, but how big do you think this movement, if that's the right word, is? I mean, you know, we've always assumed that the far right are a small minority. You know, suddenly when they're calling actions all over, or giving notice of actions all over the country and causing some havoc, it doesn't feel quite so small, does it?
I think what we can't do is we can't underestimate, and we can't just turn a blind eye and say, well, you know, this is misinformation on social media. So we have to be prepared for every single eventuality. But as politicians, I've just listened to the piece from Nigel Farage. Politicians of all parties need to be extremely careful in the language that they use. And what we need to do is we need to use the language of de-escalation and not escalation.
Yes, you say, I mean, you know, you say he needs to be careful. I mean, spell it out more. I mean, what is it you think he's doing? Because he would say, you're not acknowledging the truth. You know, the way, tens of millions, he says, of people, the way they feel about what's going on in Britain. What's your answer to him?
Well, the truth of the matter is that Bibi, Alice and Elsie were cruelly murdered at a dance class during their summer holidays. The main thing that we need to do is to focus on them, on their families, on the local community. And as I said earlier, by ensuring the perpetrator is held to account and brought to justice. The people who are perpetuating violence on our streets don't speak for decent law-abiding people. And that was clear from the response that we saw in Southport this week. So this is not about protest. If it was about, I'm all for peaceful protest, this is nothing short of mindless violence. And what I would do is appeal to these individuals who are perpetuating the view that they are responding to fear and the fact that these 3 innocent children have been taken. And I would say, listen to the family of one of the children who has been taken, listen to the local communities, let our emergency services and let our police get on with the job in hand, and let them do their jobs.